Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my shop. Welcome to my channel. My name is Keith and I'm your host. Before we get started, class, how about the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Peace! Peace! Amen.
All right, we're back on that clapper job. You know, this is probably the oldest job that I've had in here, probably the longest job I've ever had in my shop. Sometimes you got motivation issues. It's the best way I can put it. Anyway, I have had the motivation lately because I'm enjoying my new shop and I got to get on some things and I'll be working on my own stuff. And here I have something for somebody else. I really wasn't keen on the idea, but I went ahead and took it on. And anyway, we're progressing on that. Before we get into this, because we're going to be playing with the Bridgeport and the K&T on this part of the project, and I'm going to get to that in a second. And later on, we'll be able to do the simple things, which shouldn't take too long, and I can knock those out. But we should be done with that clapper here within the next day. Also, Larry, the owner of the clapper here, he also has a 9-inch lathe. And he sent me a gear. He wanted me to have it, remake it, or he thought it needed to be made new because thinking he had play. But I did some studying and I believe he just has the wrong intermediate gear on his gear change on the back. But he has a 9-inch south pin, and he needs the entire gear set for the feed change on the back of the lathe. Anybody that may have a gear change laying around for a 9-inch, please give me an email and I'll put you in touch with Larry, and maybe it can be something beneficial for each one of you. All right, I wanted to throw that out. I know that there is a couple on eBay and things like that. He may go that route, but if somebody'd like to help Larry out, and I think he'd be pretty much appreciative. All right, let's come in and let's take a look at what we're going to be doing today on the clapper. Just like this pin here is the pivot point for this clapper, meaning it can come down when it's under pressure and it can lift. The clapper lifts the tool pressure so the tool doesn't drag on the backstroke on the shaper. We all kind of know that. Just got to say it again in my head. All right, so this pin yesterday, I'm going to set this over here. Yesterday I was able to set this up, standing up, and I came down with the spindle in this direction here, and we went ahead and step drilled and reamed that out for a 1/2 inch. This is just a clean, good piece of cold roll stainless. It's a couple thousandths under. It fits like a dream. I'm going to order a piece of hardened ground shaft. We're going to put it in there. We're going to thread on each side with a nut that locks in on each side here. Probably nylock. A shallow nylock would look real nice on here. Have some kind of a way to hold the pin from drifting side to side. All right, now this is able to pivot because it has a radius here that has been relieved. This is a casting. They cast this up and then all the machining is done, finished up afterwards. Same thing with this. This is a casting. You can see this relief in here. They just needed a little surface right there where that clamp for the angle top lock will go on, and so on. So this radius right here is what we got to get milled into here. Now we're gonna use this pin to guide to mill that radius, and we're gonna machine that radius where this looks like it was casting relief and then just kind of sanded and ground, and kind of caveman. But all it was is clearance. That's all it needed. As long as this was holding the tool, guide, supported, everything else, it really doesn't matter. In fact, this probably had paint and Bondo or whatever in it at the beginning and looked pretty slick. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mill this relief that's here back past the shaft center. And then we'll be able to set this block up and mill the matching radius here, because it would look nice if that radius was matching just like that one. And we're going to mill this down here so that the thickness is equal to the shaft being in center. The depth of this is 1.5 inches, so we're going to be 3/4, so we're going to be just coming around the edge at 3/4. So I got an end mill sit down here, and we're just going to hog off this shoulder here. And this this height to work clearance for the end mill over in the K&T on the rotary table. And then we'll go over there and we'll set that up. And we're going to assemble it and then make sure that we get this to operate or function properly. After we have this hole in here and we have the block being able to pivot, then we'll be able to set up the, the tool holder bolt, post, and resting washer here so that you can tighten down and put a tool holder in the clapper itself. And that just relief and area behind where a shoulder can set. And then as this tightens down on a tool and this washer here, it actually sandwiches itself right there, just like that. All right, let's go ahead and get our end mill down here, and let's start taking away some material there. We have about 225. We know that this surface right here is about 25, maybe 20 thousandths, 22 thousandths high, because we want a 1/2 inch from here to here. This is a 1/2 inch pin. That depth of that is 1.5 inches. 1/2 and 1/2 divided by 1/2 gives you 1/2. All right. Going in the right direction will help. We're taking 25 thousandths off of this. Hopefully it'll be a couple thousandths under the 1/2 inch depth here. And then that way when we come around with the end mill, we'll have a nice transition. Take a little Scotch-Brite pad or something like that and just kind of hit it in there, blend it, and be all good to go. It is pretty amazing. This block is only held in by this pin right now, and its flushness to the bottom of the valley where it seats. No clamps holding that piece in at all. Yesterday I ran that block in the surface grinder, just took a half a thousandth off one side and flipped it over and just made it square. Checked it, needed another thousand, so I took that off with the surface grinder, and then it slipped right in there the way it does. Fits real nice. All right, cool. We're about 8 thousandths, 6 thousandths less. So that material, that end mill, will come around and blend into this surface right here, both parts. All right, now we need to trim that just about like that. All right, we pretty much got the K&T set up over here. The last thing I did was sweep the spindle, and it was off a little bit, and I adjusted to get within a half a thousandth sweep around the top of this. This is all locked down, bolted down to the table, and I just wanted to verify it on there. So our end mill is going to be hanging as straight as possible for this operation. Now, to align this, just for eyeball purposes, I had a 1/2 inch collet in here. Okay, now we don't have to be exactly center, but we eyeballed it pretty close so that we could sweep that around. Now I'm going to go ahead and pick an end mill that's going to come and grab half of our part. I'm going to continue bringing this down here for right now. We're going to be setting this on here like that. We're going to align it to center right there. Now we're going to pick and we're going to toe clamp this down. We're going to come and we're going to do half. And then we'll pick this up, flip this over, put this back in, clamp it in there, and then we're going to do the other half. No sense in trying to raise it up and do that whole thing in a whole cut. Not that we don't have an end mill to do that, but I don't like reaching out that far thinking that I'm gonna get it without any flex on the end of that end mill. Alright, so let me plan out my clamps right here. This cut here is pretty close, so it's not going to be much more than just a little touch and then one more pass around, and I think we'll have enough material removed for it to have clearance. Okay, we're touching it. All right, we're gonna vacuum this up, flip this over, and come in for the other side. I'm just giving it a little bit at a time here. Okay. Looks like we might be skipping some new area there. We'll probably have to sand or blend it a little bit. And that'll be okay. Excellent. That's only a couple thousandths right there. I can feel it. We'll sand that in. It'll look fine as kind. Excellent. Okay, let's see what we got here. I like that. Okay, we got some clapping going on. We're ready to move on to the next step, and that's going to be taking the centerpiece, going over to the forejaw, boring out the center and this counter bore to something that we're going to design to take up that tool holder shank that will come out of there, and we're going to be making that up as well. But the next step is to go ahead and put that bore in there, and we're going to order up a finished ground rod for the pivot, and we're all good to go here. And then it'll be just making the hold down bolts and the hold down itself. Gotta love it. Until the next video, get her done.